Welcome to the Realtor for Hoopers podcast.
When I pull up with my dogs, we gon' ball like Swish. No, I ball like. No, I ball like.
All right, welcome to episode 20 of the Realtor for Hoopers interview series. Today, we got a man who graduated from Arvada West.
Yes, sir.
And is also a CU buff.
Oh, yeah, good.
And I'll let you kind of tell the rest of the story. But we got Dallas Walton.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate
Thanks
you,
for having
man.
me on.
Yeah. So the question we start everyone off with is, tell us your basketball story.
Oh, yeah. So my basketball story started in Walton, Colorado. Like you said, I was getting coached by my dad in the YMCA leagues and got introduced to club basketball with Shining Stars and Sunny Scarlet over there. And from there, just kind of blew up a little bit. I got introduced to club basketball with Chauncey Billups Alita as well, and kind of did club ball and traveling the country with them, and then things kind of took off from there. Unfortunately, I suffered an ACL my sophomore year of high school, just kind of as my career was blowing up, and it was kind of hard to deal with because a lot of colleges, kind of look at you as like a liability, and so I lost a lot of scholarships that way, and was able to fortunately come back my senior year after back-to-back ACL tears my junior year of high school and get the scholarship that I wanted, which was to the University of Colorado. And thankfully there, had a hard freshman year just to get myself college ready, but was able to have a great career there for 5 years. Got to March Madness twice, played with and played against a lot of great players, and then transferred to Wake Forest to finish out my career. I got my master's there as well too, and then played in the ACC for about a year, and then went overseas to play professional basketball. Tried the drafting, but
yeah. So two follow-up questions. How did it? So you found that you wanted to play graduate ball. What was behind the decision for go from CU to Wake?
Oh yeah, so around that time was also the COVID-19 pandemic, and so thankfully I had a lot of extra year of eligibility. I finished my undergrad at CU, and by then, how the college landscape works, and really any basketball team that you're a part of, they also want to get young guys in there and get some new faces in so that they can develop them just like they developed me as well. And I kind of felt that, so I was like, all right, it's time for me to switch and take a pivot and just try something else. I knew I wanted to still play high-level basketball, so I wanted to go to another Power 5 conference, but it was just finding the right fit. I knew some of the guys at Wake Forest because I used to coach with my AAU coach. Okay. And from there, I just I felt comfortable enough because it was hard because you weren't able to do visits during COVID-19, and so it was like everybody's just talking to you. Oh, we got this. We're gonna do this, that, and the other for you.
And you can't go feel it for yourself.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And then you played. I forget the other spot. Didn't you play in Romania?
Yeah, I started my career in Romania. That was a culture shock. And then transitioned to Poland after that. But yeah, no, Romania was where I started, and I can already tell you, you go overseas. There's a lot of things that are different compared to the U.S. that you just you got to be prepared for. But yeah, no, that was my first stop. I think I liked Poland a little bit better just because it was a little bit more modern. But there was a lot more special. There was a lot of special things about Romania. From the food to the people, that was very special as well.
Cool. Okay, well, something I always like to ask people that especially have played overseas and whatever, I want to hear the funniest or craziest story you can tell. Doesn't have to be from overseas, but we all have them, so I just want to hear this.
Yeah, you play basketball. I think the funniest story that I can remember probably comes from preseason basketball training. You're getting ready for the season, and you go through, hell and back.
For sure.
This year in particular, it was our school at CU. They decided to bring the Navy SEALs to our preseason practices, and we were doing Navy SEAL training. I had never done Navy SEAL training, but I respect the guys who do that on a regular basis because that is no joke. They came in on Friday at 5 p.m. and we did not finish Navy SEAL training until Saturday at 10 a.m. and we went almost through the night. We had maybe a 2-hour break, but we had to be at the pool at 3 a.m. in the morning. I was in the pool And I know, I don't know if you spoke with
Yeah,
Dominic
yeah.
Collier,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
some of the guys on that team, but they just couldn't swim. They can't swim.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you have to swim, and so they put them in the pool, and everybody's one of the challenges, dog paddling, and we have the sweaters on, and the mission was to take your sweater off while you were treading water, trade it with your teammate. And you trade sweaters while you're treading water, and then put on the sweater all in unison. And if you didn't do that, you have to do it again and over and over and over again. And so, if you didn't know how to swim, it makes it very tough for you. It makes it very tough for you. And so, one of my fondest memories, one of the funniest things, is just kind of like I would guess you could call it trauma bonding or something like that. But I would hate to say it like that. But it was just kind of just like
It brought you close together.
It brought it brought us really close. I mean, that was the point of those exercises too. And
it's sort of funny, when you're part of a team like that, like in the moment, like you said, it is just pure hell.
Oh, yeah.
You're just trying to survive.
Oh, mm-hmm.
But then a couple days later, then you just start taking shots at our team and making fun of
oh yeah.
Dom, I'm going to throw you on blast. But
Exactly.
come on, Dom.
I had to throw him on blast, but you should learn how to swim.
Yeah. Just in case we have to do this next year.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I think that was one of the funniest moments, just from the preseason of basketball. I've had a lot of funny moments just from just interacting with my teammates and stuff like that.
Yeah, memory creation. Man.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Well, cool. Well, kind of just ask for your wisdom here. There's a lot of players that, I would say that understand that potentially they don't have a chance to get to the NBA or whatever. So after their college career, they're preparing or looking to go play overseas. So for those players, what would be something you would suggest?
Well, if you're in college right now and you're thinking about going overseas, I would want to make sure that you know 3 things for sure. The first thing is that you got to open your mind. One thing that really can be the downfall of players overseas is that they go in there expecting things to be like how it was in college, and it's just not like that at all. You're going over there, you're packing up your stuff, you're leaving your community behind, your family, your friends, and you're going to have to be over there for 9 months.
Yep.
And lock in on a mission and a goal. And it's like, it's either you build community out there, or it's going to be very, very tough for you. So I would say open your mind first. Second, make sure that you're not getting taken advantage of by your agents. Because I know that, well, if you think about an agent's job, once they put you on the team and they sign that contract, their job is done. And the good ones will make sure that you're okay throughout the 9 months. But the bad ones will have you sign that contract, they get their 10%, and then you may call, oh, my stomach hurts, they're not playing me enough, or, you have a problem with it, and the agent's kind of shrugging his shoulders at you because his job's done. You want to be careful and make sure that you're signing with an agent that you can trust.
Word of mouth is big on there. So ask
definitely.
For other guys that have either played in your state or that have played overseas, ask for their agents or whatever. Mm-hmm. So don't just agree to someone you find on Google.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you can get scammed. There's a lot of scams out there. There's a lot of scams out there, and I think a lot of players, there's not a lot of education given to basketball players who want to play professional basketball about what am I looking for in an agent, what things should I be asking him when I'm trying to find and vet out the agent, because there's going to be a lot of agents. Sometimes you may only have 1 or 2, but you want to make sure that you're signing with a good one.
For sure.
And then lastly, you want to make sure you're not getting taken advantage of by your team. Americans who go over there, you're probably one of 3 import players, and you're expected to play like one of the highest paid players, because you are one of the highest paid players on the team. And they cost money to import you, house you, and do all the things for you. And so if you're not performing very well or up to their standards, they can do some shady things, such as not pay you on time. And in my situation, there's coaching changes, and there's a lot of things that can happen over there that you just want to be aware of, and make sure that you're standing up for yourself. So I think self-advocation is very big when it comes to just being over there, because usually you have people advocating for you while you're in college and even in high school, and once you become a professional, it's all on you.
Sure.
And so it's making sure that you got to be aware that you might have to do a little bit of that.
Cool. Well, I appreciate that. I think a lot of people are getting a lot of value of that, and being able to kind of just not only prepare their game, but also prepare their mind and whatever, and have all their business straight. Make sure they're having a good, valuable career, for not only for themselves, but for the teams they play with. So good job. All right, so next question. Since we're good friends, I know that education is something that is very important to you, and it's something that, you feel like has kind of just helped you through, whether it's on the court in basketball or off the court. So I just kind of wanted to give you the floor to share what you kind of wanted to share about how important education is.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so one of my core values growing up, my family always emphasized that you will get a college degree. A lot of players, a lot of hoopers, they're in school. I mean, especially if you're going overseas, you're in school for probably 8 years. And what are you going to do from high school when you get your high school diploma to your undergrad in college? And most of the time, your career is like usually about maybe 5 to 10 years max. Well, not max, but 5 to 10 years on average. And from there, it's you're gonna have to fall back on your education and what you did during those 8 years prior. I was fortunate enough to be able to get my undergrad and my master's while I was in college, but I know that a lot of guys, they're going to leave early, or they think that basketball is the end all the be all. Just know that there's more to life than basketball, and that if you have something that you can fall back on, make sure you do that. Make sure you take care of yourself and take care of your family, take care of your body.
Yeah, I love that because, I mean, we've all been young. Like when you're young, you are just thinking about, the next month, year, or 5 years or whatever. And athletes, especially professional athletes who go play overseas, that they get kind of roped into only thinking about what's life during my basketball career. And it's a weird thing because most people, when you get a college degree, they can follow that path until they retire. Mm-hmm. Professional athletes, they have to think they're going to have two completely separate careers. Mm-hmm. They're going to have their playing career, and then they're going to be, how am I going to make money after my career is over? So having that education to fall back on is massive. So I love that.
Oh yeah, and I think to add to that would probably be, a lot of athletes when they're playing, they're only thinking about like, right now I'm financially well. I'm not thinking about my long-term financial stability and how that might look for me. I'm not saving up. I mean, nobody teaches you, well, what investments should I be doing in college, or a lot of athletes will like get a large amount of wealth in a short amount of time, and that can be detrimental. I mean, like if you don't know where to put that money, it can be very detrimental to you. Because it can be gone within a matter of seconds. I mean, and I think you're a realtor for athletes. What would you say is the most common thing? I'll pose a question. Question to you. What would you say is the most common thing that you find when it comes to athletes, when it comes to financial literacy, and trying to buy a house? What is the most common thing that you find?
Yeah, well, awesome. I think it's awesome that you asked me a question. It's cool. I would say two things. One, understanding, breaking down like basic budgeting and basic financial, management from a month to month. Like, I've got this money coming in. How am I spending that money? Is there any way I can control that? What do I need to increase, decrease, and whatever? Because being able to manage your money on a monthly basis, that short term allows you to have a better understanding of if you do need to save money or pay off debt or whatever, how you can do that and where you can cut, where you can save, and all of that. If you don't have that foundation of a monthly budget, it's hard to get anywhere because you don't really understand where your money's going. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Second, it is from an athlete perspective, it is purely having, if they don't have the knowledge themselves, having the motivation to gain the knowledge themselves of how to invest and manage their long-term wealth, mm-hmm. or finding someone that they know that they can trust to guide them through that. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm a big believer in word of mouth, where it's just ask the people that you trust, your friends, your teammates, and whatever, that have had good experiences or whatever, and go with something like that. Because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to sell you a story of all of that. And I think if someone that you trust someone out, there's a higher probability that they're going to take care of you as well. Rather than like, hey, he said I can make 5% more off of this, and it turns out he's taking all your money or he's doing something shady. So I would say there's two things. One, just knowing having a monthly budget, understanding where all your money is going, and being able to have that be the foundation of whatever your goals financially are, whether that's buying a house or whatever it is. And two, having the knowledge or finding someone that can guide you through from a long-term wealth building perspective. So that'd be it. Sorry.
And I think that's also very interesting because it's like once an athlete gets their first check, it's like most of these guys, you go from high school. I mean, now in college you can make money, which is amazing. I feel great about that. But even in college for the longest time, you weren't really allowed to make money. So by the time you get that first check, it's the first time you're actually seeing a lot of like real money.
You're seeing zeros. You're seeing lots of zeros.
Yeah, exactly. And it's I struggled with it personally in college. That I didn't manage my money well when I was in college, and I didn't have a lot. So it's like when you get outside of college and you start making money, you got to start thinking and start asking the right people for advice and for help on how to manage that. And then also it's just also finding the right people, because a lot of people can steer you in the wrong direction.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, there's just not a lot of families in general that have a really good financial knowledge base. So it's not like some families, you can't go to your mom and dad and ask them, because unfortunately they've been in debt for the longest time, or they just don't know. And so when you have to, it's a very vulnerable thing too. And that's a lot of, especially for men, it's very hard for a guy to go up to one of his teammates or someone he trusts and being like, I don't know what I'm doing. Can you please help me? And it's getting easier for guys to do that. But yeah, it's just finding the right people. So,
and I think actually no, I was going to add on to that, saying that sometimes I think that's also one thing that I did appreciate about collegiate basketball is kind of that camaraderie.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, overseas it can be a little tough just because you don't have that relationship with your teammates that you can ask them for advice on. I mean, not only just life overseas, but also how they're managing their money and what they're thinking about as far as stuff that they're doing outside of basketball.
It gets a little bit more contentious and competitive, especially when you're overseas and there's language barriers and things like that. So, all right, well, I got two more questions for you. I know you finished your career at Wake, but I still consider, and I think you consider yourself a CU buff in your heart of hearts.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
So we are going to talk about what your top 5 CU basketball players of all time.
Ooh. All right. So I thought about this one for a little bit, but I think if I were to do top 5 all time, not who I play with, but top 5 all time, you got to have Chauncey Billups at number 1.
Undisputed. If he's not on your list, you're
you're crazy. You're crazy. And then number 2. Because now it's like, okay, are we doing positional based, or are we just doing based on
just top 5 positionless basketball?
Positionless basketball. Number 2, I would say Corey Higgins. And I don't know if true basketball fans, true CU basketball fans know that Corey, he was a real deal when he was at CU. He didn't make, he had brushes with the NBA, but he spent most of his career in Barcelona. If anybody who's played overseas knows that touching the EuroLeague is a great accomplishment, let alone building a career for yourself for years and years and years. So I have Corey Higgins at number 2. I would say Derek White, we got him at number 3. He had a wonderful summer. Not only winning
and I'm sorry, once you win an NBA championship, it just skyrockets you up
You're just in this level of, so he NBA championship, Olympic gold medalist, good for him. So great summer, D White. I would put him at number 3. And then now we're getting to the 4. I would say Andre Roberson.
That's a good one.
I would say Andre Roberson. For all the coaches out there telling their players, you find a role and specialize in that. Watch film on Andre Roberson. He may not have scored every time, but defense and rebounding, every single possession.
The dude went to the NBA because he knew how to play a role of being the glue guy, being the dirty guy. Like, he got all the way to the NBA because of that.
Oh yeah, and I mean, see, if you think about like what Boyle's been building as a brand over
Yep.
there at CU basketball, he's like one of the epitomes of it.
Yep.
And then 5. Ooh, if we're doing positionless basketball, I would say either Alec Burks or McKinley Wright.
Okay. I like those. Those.
Yeah, those are my.
You gotta
two.
pick one.
Oh.
And I know you know both, and but I'm gonna make you pick
No,
one.
I'm like, because I watched Alec Burks play too in college, and I watched McKinley Wright play
Is
in
he
college.
is he with the Knicks still?
Yeah, Alex
Yeah.
Burks is still here. He's still in the NBA right now.
Yeah.
So I mean, if we're thinking about longevity of career, just like I guess what he's like, just NBA success, we'll go with Alec Burks. But I think that from what was done at CU, I think McKinley Wright has Alec Burks beat a little bit.
I like it. All right, so my 5, and I'll go through these quickly. I won't tell you why, but obviously Chauncey, Spencer Dinwiddie,
Oh yeah, Spence is that's a good one.
a little bit of an older school one, Jay Humphries,
Oh yeah, Jay Humphries is a good one too.
Derek White. I went to UCCS, so Derek White holds a really soft spot in my heart.
Oh yeah.
Number 5, and this is just because I love this guy. I met him. We went to see you at the same time, and he was just a good friend of mine while I was there. And I just loved the way he hooped. Was Chris Copeland.
Chris Copeland. He was a glue guy too.
Yeah. and he had some stints in the NBA and things like that. And he's doing lots of good things in basketball still and all that. But
I love that. That's a great list.
cool.
That's a great list.
It's a fun just basketball question. Like, gotta have those. Last question, and sometimes it's the hardest, and I like this, but you gotta pick one thing. What's your favorite thing about basketball?
I think my favorite thing about basketball, it's one of the most simple truths, is that everybody's journey is different. And I think that's one thing that's special about basketball, is that it brings together a community of people from all walks of life. And everybody how we're sitting together today, right now, our journeys are completely different. And I remember my freshman year of college, George King came up to me and, like I said, our journeys are different. He was already established at CU, and I was kind of walking in there as like a nobody freshman.
Yeah.
And he understood that, maybe my journey to get to where I'm sitting at, I'm not where I want to be at yet, but just me being in that locker room, he took the time out of his day just to talk to me about my journey. And I think
awesome.
I think that's important, is that you want to keep on finding ways to build community. I think what you're doing here, building the community here with the Hoopers here in Colorado, is very special.
Appreciate it, man.
And so I think that's probably the best thing, is that.
I think it's really cool that a sport can bring people together that normally maybe would never even talk to each other. And there is something about, especially for guys, doing something together that just brings you, like you were talking about preseason, off-season conditioning. I have a saying that I always said, once I've puked in a trash can with you, we're just going to be boys for the entire life.
Exactly. You see me at my most vulnerable.
I'm sorry. Like, once you've seen me do that, we're good. But I love it. Yeah, community is one of the big reasons I'm doing this whole thing and all that. So, all right, Dallas, well, I appreciate the time, man.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
When I pull up with my dogs, we gon' ball like Swish. No, I ball like.